Selamat sejahtera Dr. Azwan. So we are from Group Legend, and now we want to show the experiment about the phenomena heat transfer, which are the radiation, convection, and the conduction. So for the radiation, if the energy emitted by matter in the form of electromagnetic wave as a result of the changes in the electronic configuration of the atoms or molecules. So for the convection is the mode of energy transfer between a solid surface and the adjacent liquid or gas that is in motion, and it involves the combined effect of conduction and liquid motion. And lastly, for the conduction is the transfer of energy from the more energetic particles of a substance to the adjacent less energetic ones as a result of interaction between the particles.
Next is the experiment for the radiation. In this experiment, we need a fire pot which is in the fire. Next is the iron wire, and another one is the clamp. To start the experiment, you use a clamp and to clamp an iron wire and put inside the fire pot. After a few minutes, you can see there is a change in color between the middle of the iron wire, and use a clamp to take out the iron wire. Next, put your hand near to the iron wire, but be careful when you put your hand near to the iron wire. As you put near your hand to the iron wire, you can feel that the hot is coming out from the iron wire. Then we can feel the hot. This is the phenomenon of the radiation. Even though I didn't touch the iron wire, but I can feel the hot from the iron wire. In this experiment, radiation is occurred to transfer the heat from the heated iron wire to our hand. Although we cannot see the movement of the heat transfer, but we can feel it, just like when we put our hand near to the iron wire, we can feel hot. Since this is much imaginary as we cannot see the movement of the heat transfer, therefore I will explain more in the conclusion part. In the conclusion, heat can be transferred by the radiation through the electromagnetic wave. Medium is not needed for the radiation, unlike the conduction and the convection. For the conduction between the particle is needed, while for the convection, the movement of the particle is needed to transfer the heat from one to another. Besides, radiation is visible light can be seen on the heated iron wire in the experiment. As we can see, the middle part of the heated iron wire has changed its color. This is because it emits the infrared to our eyes. Therefore, we can see the color change. In addition, there is one more example of the heat transfer by the radiation, which is the sunlight. How can be the sunlight transfer heat through the sunlight from the sun to our earth? As we can see in the figure, the heat is transferred from the sun to the earth through the radiation. Electromagnetic waves bring the heat from the sun to the earth through the vacuum space or the universe. In the universe, there is no any particle which can be transferred the heat through the conduction and the convection. Therefore, we can say that the heat from the sun is transferred by the radiation from the sun to the earth. That's all for the radiation. Thank you.
Hi, now I will be going to demonstrate the experiment for heat convection. So we will be going to our lab to do the experiment. Let's go. Yes, here is our lab. So what you will need to prepare is a color paper that has been cut into spiral shape, a stick, a candle, and also a lighter. So now we set up for the experiment. First, you need to put the stick into the candle. Alright, then you put the color paper on top of the stick. Okay, as we can see, initially the color paper is not moving. Then you light up the candle. Put your hand like this. As you can see, the color paper start to spin. So for the result of the experiment, as you can see, when we light up the heat source below the color paper start to spin. It is due to the heat convection occur. So when convection occur, the heat convection flow had made the color paper to start spinning. So we will explain furthermore in the conclusion part. Let's go to the conclusion. So for the conclusion, the heat convection had occurred in the experiment just now. Convection is the heat transfer by the movement of a fluid, liquid or gas between areas of different temperature. So for the experiment just now, the heat had transferred from the candle to the surrounding of color paper through air medium due to the difference in temperature between them. The heat flow had provided movement for the color paper, and thus the color paper starts spinning. So that's all for the heat convection experiment. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Wei Hang. I'm going to conduct a simple experiment that explains how conduction works. So for the apparatus, the material used apparatus is some nails, a candle, a metal spoon, and a lighter. So I'm going to set up the experiment. So now I've done set up the experiment. We use the wax of this candle to attach the nail on this spoon. So now we need to heat up this end of the spoon. Let's see what happens. As you can see, the nails start dropping because of the phenomenon called conduction. Conduction transfer the heat from a high region to a low region. So this end is high region until the side of the nails is cold region. So when it light up, the wax will unwax, then the nail will start dropping.
So as for result, we can see that the nails start to drop when one end of the spoon is being heated up. So this is because of heat transferred from region of high temperature, which is basically the heating side of the spoon, to low temperature, the region with low temperature, which the side of the nails are waxed to the spoon, causing the heat causing the wax to melt, and the nails will start dropping. So to conclude this experiment, we can conclude that heat conduction occur. Heat conduction is a transfer of heat without any movement in the particle in the object. So in this experiment, we can observe that the needle start to drop from the spoon. This is because of conduction. That's all from me. Thank you.